Tuesday's Senior Showcase allowed students to show the SIUE community the fruits of months of hard work and explain exactly what they learned from the experience through presentations, music, and dance.
Basically, my project was kind of a culmination of my clinical experience. I found as a nursing student that I talked a little bit with mothers in both the pediatric setting and the OB setting. We're exhibiting signs of postpartum depression, but we're not really familiar with it. So given that, I kind of came up with the idea to assess screening procedures within Illinois. And I found that really screening is not being done with standardized screening tools, even though the research shows that that is a better way to diagnose for postpartum depression. So I did a little bit of research on postpartum depression. I kind of assessed Illinois and southern Illinois as far as their standards, looked at a little bit of state and federal legislation that's currently being proposed. And then after that, I contacted my legislators about some of the problems that I found with the bills that were proposed and things that I thought would be better implemented.
So it wasn't just a study, you also took a little bit of action there too, didn't you?
Yes. So what we did is we used these picture exchange communication system to have our client actually make verbal communication. So he would give the card to us to say he wanted an activity or to have a piece of a puzzle, and he actually from that was able to vocalize words, which is pretty cool.
It was very successful. At the beginning of the semester he wasn't vocal at all. At the end of the semester he was being vocal spontaneously several times a session. In comparison, that's outstanding.
Big improvement.
Big improvement.
Well, my study is on roadkill in the area of Edwardsville. Basically, we go out on surveys once a week and we monitor what species and number of roadkills that we find along a specific route, and we quantify that. This study is over the course of a year, and so we have a couple hundred roadkills over that year. What we ended up finding was that IDOT goes out 2 to 3 times per week, and quite possibly all 3 of those times might have been before we got to go out and survey. So if we included their numbers as far as what they were removing, the number of roadkills that we were finding would increase by about 50%. So from about 200 up to about 350 on these just very small piece of roads. And then also most of the national estimates of roadkill are based on similar driving road surveys. So if that's the case, that these surveys are also missing up to 50%, then the national estimates might be as low as, might be 50% higher as well. So.
And what was your, what's the solution to the problem?
Basically, there are several mitigation techniques that have been tested. The most effective seems to be barrier walls or fences that lead to a certain point, and they lead to a point where the animals can either go above and over the road on an overpass or beneath in an underpass. That seems to be the most effective. Other than that, there's also reflectors and warning signs and that sort of thing.
Is this a kind of a gruesome project to work on?
Yes, it is, and it's been a very interesting project though as well.
No, but last year was the first time we'd ever built a vehicle. So from our competition last year up in New York, we knew we had several factors.
Also giving a presentation was the SIUE Baja team, who spent months designing and fabricating an all-terrain vehicle to compete against more than 140 teams from colleges across the country and around the world in contests of speed and endurance. April 30th, they are traveling to Tennessee Tech in Cookeville, Tennessee to compete for the second time in the competition. But this year represents some new challenges for the team, who have, in addition to making the vehicle lighter and more reliable, also had to make the buggy float. Luckily for the team, a test session in Cougar Lake proved successful, and the team successfully showed off some of the buggy's off-road capabilities by climbing the rock in the Stratton Quadrangle. And given that, the team is optimistic.
Yeah, that's so last year was our first year. We finished 89th out of 141 teams. So we beat 52 teams that had done it a lot more than we had. This year, the big difference is we have to float. So we make it a car that's amphibious. So you see some of the pontoons and things. We've had it out in Cougar Lake, into the water. It held its own. We took the engine out, didn't want it to get wet, so we put a bucket in there that weighed the same. And It held its own. So last year we learned a lot. We had no idea what we were doing before we got there. We went to Rochester, New York. We'll go to Cookeville, Tennessee. Next Wednesday we'll leave. So we'll do a lot better. I think we'll be top 30 this year at worst case scenario.
So this is a very time-sensitive thing. It takes a lot of time. How are you doing on scheduling to get it done? And
on scheduling, we're tight. We're better than we were last year. Last year we worked all night, 2 or 3 nights before we left. If we didn't have the flotation, we would have been done 2 weeks ago. So now we'll be done Thursday. It'll be done, finished, and we'll have 4 or 5 days to just drive it, tear it up, try anything we can to break it, because you want to break it here and not at the competition. So you want to put it through some scenarios like crawling over the rock or some of that stuff, some jumps to where it's going to see the same sort of situations.
Everyone's crazy, running into each other. Hour and a half into it, 50% of the cars are already down with some kind of repair. They're the cars that run the full race the entire time. They're the ones that win the endurance race. So
But what about flipping?
There's people that flip in. There's a guy left with concussion last year. They had to take the ambulance, all that stuff. But basically, you're going to go down for repairs unless you're super repaired, and then it's your efficiency in that process that keeps you, a competitive team.
high hopes for this year?
Very high. We're going to shoot for top 20, and if we get higher than top 10, we got to build a whole new one. So we're looking for 11.
This has been Matthew Schroyer with AlestleLive.com.